EFI University is hosting a new class called Essentials of Operating a Shop. If you're interested in learning how to run your shop more efficiently, this class is for you. The next course will be held in San Jose, California on March 5th, followed by Orlando, Florida on April 16th. For more details, go to EFI101.com and look for the Essentials of Operating a Shop class. Be sure to use the coupon code DIFAL for $50 off.
This is Do It for a Living, your source for inside information on the future of automotive performance.
It seems like when you go onto YouTube, you suddenly create this relationship and this connection with your audience that you just don't have in print.
What's holding you back from starting or growing your business into what it can be? Well, if you're listening to this, it's not a lack of information. What you're about to hear is all you need to get motivated and start making waves. Do It for a Living podcast details the journey of today's true players in their own words. Find out how they broke out so you can too. The time is now. The time is always now.
Welcome back. I have with me today Peter Tarach and Dave Pratte with Speed Academy. Speed Academy is a YouTube channel, and they have a lot of different content on there, and I'm sure they will be pleased to fill us in what they all do. How are you doing, Pete and Dave?
We're good.
We are excellent.
Yeah. I don't know how people are going to tell us apart. I'll say A a lot. That'll be Dave saying the A's, and Peter can use his California accent.
All right.
Yeah, right on. I'll just be lazy with my outs.
Your oots and the boots. That's right.
That's right.
And I should add, you guys are both in Canada currently. That's where you're working out of, right?
We certainly
right.
are, and we're Canadian, yep.
All right.
Yep.
So why don't we go ahead and get started here. Go ahead and tell us about yourself and your business. If you want to say kind of what Speed Academy is first, and then go ahead and kind of give us a background of how you guys got started with the auto or performance industry, and take us all the way back to when you were kids.
Well, I think we could start off with where we originated from, and I mean, I got the opportunity to work for a magazine called Modified Magazine back in, I think, 2003, which was a great opportunity. It turned into a 10-year career for me, and at that point, I think, Dave, when did we meet? In 06, 07?
05, yeah. I started in early 05 at Modified, so I came on board as like a writer there, and yeah, that's really where we first met, was in the office, and Pete was a young man with a nice haircut, and I was a middle-aged man with no hair. So yeah, we weren't obviously a good fit at that moment, but here we are.
Yeah, we started working together, and I think developed a pretty good relationship, and then kind of fast forward to 2009-ish, when they ended up closing the offices in Toronto. So Modified Magazine was based in Toronto, and then it was purchased by a company out of the US called Prime Media, which then sold to Source Interlink, this whole big hoopla, and they ended up closing the doors in Toronto. I ended up moving to California for 4 years, at which point Dave was unfortunately moved over to a contributor position. So I was going to say let go, but technically he was, but he still continued to work as a contributor.
I was packaged out in the most delicate manner. It wasn't delicate at all. I was packaged out in typical corporate style, which was fine. I have a wife, and now I have kids, and so moving to California wouldn't have been an option for me anyway. And with Pete staying on board, he kept me busy. Basically, I kept writing. You know, the day they showed me the door, I was writing stories for the magazine the next day as a freelancer,
Okay.
and continued to freelance pretty much on a full-time basis for Modified for the whole tenure of the magazine, really, until it closed. So yeah, Pete kept me busy doing that, and it also allowed me to dabble in some other things. I did a bunch of new car reviews for Auto Guide, and did a bit of freelancing for a couple other magazines when there was a slow month of Modified. So yeah, that's kind of how we both grew up in the industry, I guess you could say. And you know, to go way back, man, I'm sure Pete has car guy stories he can tell you from prior to Modified, and for me it started, I guess, just with the typical, you know, car guy dad. My dad is a mechanical engineer, and he was building cars in our garage when I was just a little kid. So he had like MGBs, and he built a Triumph that he pulled out of a junkyard and completely restored. Then he got into Corvettes, so he had a few C3 Corvettes that he built. When I was a teenager, his C3 Corvette with a big built motor in it was his autocross car, and I started going autocrossing with him. So that's really how I got involved in racing, was going to autocrosses with my dad, and then we'd go to the odd track day together. And then, from there, it was kind of like I'd got the racing bug. So when I had a bit of my own money, I started doing some of it in my own car. So that's really how I got into racing, which is actually what led to me becoming a magazine guy and a content creator, because I basically got the job at Modified, I think, because I was racing, and by virtue of that, I had learned some things about cars. I wasn't necessarily mechanically inclined as a kid or mechanically interested as a kid. My dad was the guy doing all the work on the cars. I just liked driving, and I liked the idea of racing. But when you go racing and you don't have any money, you have to learn how to work on cars, don't you? So I
think
learned
that's
that
why
a
we're such a
necessity.
good match, right, Dave?
Yeah, totally.
Because I do a lot of the wrenching, and that's
Yes,
how
you
kind
do.
yeah, and you know what? That's pretty much the same thing with me, where my dad worked on cars here and there. We didn't have a lot of money, so he always owned a bunch of jalopies, and we were always fixing them. And I ended up buying, at the age of 16, a Plymouth Laser. So a DSM is kind of where I got my start, and then found some online forums, joined a car club here in Toronto, and I ended up getting a job through somebody that was actually Dave Pankey, who also owned a DSM, and that's how the whole magazine thing started for me as well. So he ended up hiring me, and then we went to the magazine deal, and I feel really fortunate to be able to have worked that kind of job where I really didn't consider it a job, and it was a passion of mine, a hobby that turned into a professional career. And kind of getting back to where we were, 2014, the magazine, Modified Magazine, officially is closed. For reasons I'm sure a lot of people understand. The print business just isn't what it used to be. The internet has come along, kind of taken over, and both Dave and I saw an opportunity after that where, you look at online and YouTube and websites and the kind of content that they create and how much people want to take in and consume that. So we kind of sat down after a couple months of thinking about what we were going to do next and said, hey, you know what? There's a great opportunity here. Why not go for it?
So, kind of going back a little bit, do either of you guys have like a education background to get into? Like, how do you get into writing for Modified Magazine? Is that something you just kind of walked into, or did you go to school for that?
I actually went to school for film.
Okay.
So it was something completely opposite of what I intended to do. And like I said, so when I was doing the whole car club thing, I ran into Dave Pankey, and he actually has had some friends. So while I was graduating, he had some friends in the film business up here in Toronto and said, hey, send me a resume. Why don't I, pass it around and try to help you find a job? And literally a month later, he hit me up and was like, listen, I've got this magazine opportunity here. Can you write? And I said, well, not well, but I'm sure I can string some sentences together. So he brought me in for an interview, and I wrote a quick little mock story, and that's kind of where it all started. And he liked it, and we kind of went from there. I think they were looking for somebody that was a true enthusiast that had passion, and I kind of fit that bill more than having a degree in journalism, right?
Right. I think that is pretty common among all media sources that are automotive related, I think. So.
Exactly. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I think most of the people we meet in the industry don't come at it from a journalist background. They come at it from an enthusiast background, don't they? And that was the case with me too. I mean, I was racing, and I was doing some freelancing for some local Canadian motorsports magazines, basically because they were desperate for someone to write about the racing that we were doing, and I was the most overeducated racer they knew. I was in university for 11 years. And not because it took me 11 years to get a BA, but because I just kept doing more and more degrees. So I got a BA in economics, then I got another BA in anthropology, then I went and did a master's degree in human biology and nutritional sciences, which was actually a forensic science degree. And then I went to do a PhD, and I was actually in a PhD program for about 4 years and was in the midst of writing my dissertation in medical anthropology, which has nothing to do with cars. I was actually working with Somali refugees and looking at how they adapt to the massive change they go through the refugee process. So zero to do with cars, but I learned a lot about writing from being in academia, and I learned a lot about researching and about science. I mean, my master's degree was a science degree, and so I had to take statistics, and I was doing lots of laboratory science experiments and so on, and that came in surprisingly handy as a automotive journalist, because you have to be able to research a subject well to write about it well, and you have to be able to make your way through all of the BS that's out there and find the actual, find the good information. So those skills actually have worked tremendously well for me as an automotive writer. In fact, I jokingly tell my friends from academia that I'm an automotive anthropologist, which I kind of am. A lot of what we do is about car culture, and a lot of what anthropology is about is culture. So there's a strange kind of tie-in there. But I got into the industry really because of my racing hobby and my passion for going fast and figuring out ways to make cars go faster. So ultimately, when I got the job at Modified, it wasn't because I was a PhD student. It was because I was a racer. Okay. So yeah, I think that's how I found my way in.
So both of your backgrounds really tie in pretty well for Speed Academy then, being a film and then being
100%, yeah. I jokingly say that, that it took me 12 years to start using my degree, but it's been such a help, especially with the video editing and shooting, where, I got taught that in school and obviously didn't use it for a long time, but did a bunch of photography while I was at Modified Magazine, so that kind of tied in here and there. However, getting into the whole YouTube realm, I was able to just pick it up quickly, sit down, kind of relearn video editing and take it from there. Okay.
So do you guys think of yourselves as entrepreneurs then?
I guess we are by necessity. When you start your own business, you are by definition entrepreneurial, I guess, but we're doing this because it's what we love to do, not because we at least for me, I think it's not, we're doing it because this is a way of doing what we love rather than as a way of being a businessman or wanting to start a business empire or anything like that. It's
right,
just
getting rich quick kind of thing.
Yeah, this isn't about that. This is about just doing what we're passionate about and continuing to do what we love, and so we're learning about business as we go. I'm learning slower than Peter, I think, but I've been around a lot of entrepreneurs in my life. My brother runs a successful software company, and my grandfather was a business owner. So, I've seen other people succeed in business, so I wasn't afraid to do it. And I think also the fact that Modified closed and I was freelancing, so I already was kind of used to, doing my own thing. It wasn't a big transition for me psychologically to say, okay, let's do this thing. I think it was probably a lot harder for you, Pete, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, because I went from having a steady paycheck to having no paycheck at all and having to kind of dip into savings to get this operation up and running. So it was definitely, I think, a large risk. But for me, I had a good gut feeling that this was the right way to go, and I've always wanted to work for myself, because then ultimately what you put into it, you kind of get out of it. And I found working for a large corporation, I put a lot in at times and there wasn't a lot coming back out, and now it's the opposite and it's so much more rewarding for me.
So I guess that answers the next question that we have is, did you quit your job or did you slowly transition out? And it sounds like Peter, you were, I guess, essentially laid off when the magazine shut down, right?
Correct. Yeah, I was actually offered another position at the company, which I declined, just because for me, I saw the writing on the wall, and the print business, again, wasn't heading in the right direction for me. And actually, Source Interlink, which is now 10, they've done an excellent job of transitioning into new media. Their YouTube channel is phenomenal. I actually watch it almost every day. Their content is exceptional. But I just didn't want to get into a more of a managerial role, which is what they were offering for me. So I thought, you know what, this is a great time to just kind of part ways and look at doing my own thing with Dave.
Yeah, and I think for Pete too, part of it was you wanted to move back to Toronto too. You weren't exactly loving Cali life that much, right?
Yeah, no, I loved California life. For a car guy, it's probably the best place on earth because, up here we deal with snow, and right now, it's in the middle of winter. We're trying to work at the workshop. We don't have heat, and it's cold as hell. So I think about California a lot during these months. But at the same time, Toronto is my home and kind of will always be my home for the foreseeable future. So it was a smart transition for me to do at that time.
Yeah, I mean, not to jump too far ahead here, Kevin, but I think one of our long-term goals might be like a winter shop in Phoenix or California, and then we spend the pleasant summer months in Toronto.
I want one at the Nürburgring. Come on.
Yeah, that's true. The Nürburgring
I think it
shop
gets cold
would be
there
nice
too, though.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have a summer shop in the ring, and our winter shop in Phoenix. We'll be all set.
So, what did you guys? What gave you guys the, I guess, aspirations to do your own thing? I mean. So, Peter, you said you were offered another job. What about you, Dave? Like, why would you not just work for somebody else, taking the I guess, the easy paycheck?
Yeah. I had a bunch of job offers, too, when Modify got closed. And, it's a small industry, so people we all know each other. And, people want to help out, too. I think when they think you've lost your job, they're like, oh, I know of this opportunity. So those were definitely out there for both of us. But this is something Pete and I have actually talked about for a lot of years. We sort of dabbled with the idea of doing our own online thing, 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, and we originally thought it was going to be a website because web was big, right?
Yeah. So we were like, well, why don't we just do what we're doing in the magazine on a website? And we had built sort of a prototype of that and had done a little like demo content for it to shop the idea around. But we were both so busy at the magazine and enjoying the magazine work so much that kind of just got pushed to the side. But
and I think we learned that you really got to focus on something, especially a business or a venture of this sort. You can't just kind of do it on the side. And I know a lot of people start their businesses from their garage while working another job, but the media business, I think, is the opposite to a certain extent, where you really need to give 100% and focus, and especially with the internet where consumption is, on a daily basis, and to try to do that on a side job, while we were running the magazine, just for us was not a good fit. So
yeah, we had to go all in on it. So I mean, the timing was right. Pete was ready to make a change. I was ready to say, let's do this. So we went all in on it, and it's our full-time job now is working on Speed Academy. And it's we had the luxury of being in the industry for 10 years prior to doing this, so it's not like we're coming in blind. Right. We have good relationships with lots of aftermarket companies, so we knew we could build an advertiser base pretty early on, and we know how to create content already, so it's not like we were learning how to do that from scratch either. Pete's video background obviously made the YouTube thing much easier, and so yeah, we weren't coming in as rookies, so it didn't feel as risky as it might have had we been totally new to this thing. And yeah, I mean, plus it's just exciting to have creative control. One of our gripes at Modified, I think, was there were things that we would want to do that we couldn't do because
precisely,
it wasn't a good fit for our audience. We were being told what our audience was, even though we were creating all the content for that magazine. Now we could say, okay, we know our audience well enough to know that they think Mustangs are cool too. So if we want to do something with a Mustang, we're going to do that. So, it's nice to finally just be able to do true car passion projects, regardless of brand or, any sort of divisions that the corporate world was sort of artificially forcing on us in that environment.
Cool.
That was, I think, a problem with the magazine genre, is that it was very specific. So when, Dave and I's we broadened our spectrum of what we liked with automobiles, and for example, with a Mustang, it wasn't something that I could necessarily drop into Modified magazine because it was more import, sport, compact based, right?
Yeah.
And now with the internet, we can kind of do whatever we want, and our audience is the ones that tell us, we like this, we don't like this, and that's kind of something that you didn't have with the print business or a magazine. You didn't have that immediate feedback. You didn't know. You just needed to kind of trust your gut and say, all right, I know I'm an expert in this, and I'm going to continue to do that. But that wasn't necessarily sometimes what people wanted to read about, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys have now ventured off into doing your own thing. Did you ever doubt yourself?
100%, yeah.
How do you monetize YouTube, right? So it's tricky. You got to be very good at it, and so that's got to put some doubt in your mind, right? So
And I think that is the number one, at least my main concern is, how do you monetize this? How do you make this work long term for you, right? At the end of the day, I got to feed myself and put a roof over my head, and Dave has to do the same for a family. So I think the biggest contention with us was, how do we make this work from a financial perspective, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think part of the reason we built the website as well as the YouTube channel is that we knew the website business model was easier to sell right now than YouTube is. And we're starting to find ways, though, to monetize YouTube outside of just the regular ad revenue that YouTube pays out by partnering with different companies who want to be involved in video content. And so they're helping fund those projects. And that's been a good learning experience for us, is how to actually make YouTube content that can generate an income for us that isn't dependent on YouTube's ad sharing. So
which is pennies on the view.
It is pennies on the view. Yeah, I mean, we'd have to be getting millions of views a week to really make any money on it. So we're finding other ways to make that work. So yeah, it is a brave new world in a sense, but it seems like everyone we talk to is hungry for video content. So the appetite's out there. It's just a matter of figuring out ways of selling it.
So explain the worst experience you guys have had in business.
You know what? I don't. The business is so new. I don't think I've really had a bad experience per se, and I think that's a testament to how great this industry really is for the most part. But
yeah, it's true. We've had a lot of great support from our friends in the industry, but I think in a sort of a semi-joking way, I think Pete's worst business experience has probably been me forgetting to renew my passport before SEMA last year. So he literally had to cover that whole show himself and produce all the stories himself from that, because I couldn't get on a plane and fly down there to join him. And I would also say that
oversight, right, Dave?
Yeah, a rather small, embarrassingly huge oversight. So yeah, he wasn't too impressed with me at that point, and I think I'm supposed to be the accountant of the two of us, and I do a truly horrible job of that. So I think most of Pete's bad business experiences relate directly to his business partner as opposed to anyone outside the industry.
You make up for it in the videos and the cut of your juice,
my charm and my good looks make up for it.
Exactly.
Sure, yeah. So that's actually a good question. You guys are partners in Speed Academy. I'm guessing 50-50. How do you guys do that, and how is it working out for you guys?
That's a good question. We are, on paper, we're 50-50 partners, but in reality, I would say Pete does 70% of the work because he's single and driven and a maniac, and I have two small kids, a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and my 4-year-old has autism, so I have a really hectic schedule just trying to get out of the house, let alone getting any work done. So Pete's really done a huge amount of work, and even though we're 50-50 partners, the bulk of the income that we're generating is going to Pete because my wife has a good job, and so I have the luxury of not really paying myself right now. And we have the understanding too that, let's say corporate X comes and buys us out, well, if Pete's done 70% of the work, he's getting 70% of that money. So on paper we're 50-50 partners, but in reality Pete's doing a lot more work than me, and should we ever sell this thing, which I can't imagine us doing anytime soon, then he would be rewarded accordingly.
Right, but at the same time, I think Dave still does a ton of work as well, and I struggle with a lot of the on-camera stuff. I'm not great. I'm the 7-take wonder, where he's the 1-take wonder, and he manages to lay down the lines real good and just explain things in an easy to understand manner. So I think we work exceptionally well together as a team, and there's obviously understandings between us for a lot of this stuff, and I think that is what makes us work so well together, that if I am frustrated, I can talk to Dave about it, and vice versa. It's kind of like a married couple here, right?
Yeah, sadly it is a marriage, isn't it? And we are good about venting our issues and communicating on important things, and talking about money isn't always easy, but I think we're getting better at it, and we have a really good friendship. And I think first and foremost, the fact that we're good friends and that we trust each other makes it easy to work out all the dollars and cents. And so yeah, I think we have a pretty good strategy on it these days, and so far neither of us has had a heart attack, so it's all good.
Or killed each other.
You're right.
Yeah.
So tell us something you're doing right now that has you fired up.
I'm really fired up about, a lot of the project cars. I love working on cars. It's always been a passion of mine, and right now we're working on our S2000, which is officially termed the Badass 2000. It was the Ass 2000, but now it's the Badass 2000 because we've built it up from a turd to something that is a pretty quick track car right now, and we're putting on some individual throttle bodies from Gen V. Yep. So I'm pretty stoked to get that done. And we've run into a couple of snags here and there, and that's what I like about it, right, is the challenge of putting something on a car that isn't necessarily bolt-on, and it really excites me having to do a bit of custom work here and there because it's rewarding in that sense. And more importantly, though, our YouTube channel continues to grow, and it's starting to grow at a rapid rate. When you start something such as a YouTube channel in the beginning, you're creating all this content and you're getting hundreds of views, and you're sitting there ripping your hair out like, how do I get more views? How is this going to come up? And it really is kind of playing a long game. And right now we're at a point where we're starting to gain momentum. I think we're at, what is it, Dave? 43,000 subscribers,
44,000 subscribers.
Yeah, it just over a year. So it's starting to come up. It's all organic. We haven't paid for anything. We want to make sure we build this and build it right, which is, having people that want to be a part of our channel subscribe to it. So that's something that's really got me excited, and hopefully it just continues to grow, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. It is exciting to see the YouTube channel grow, and I think our metrics are growing steadily on the website too. We're getting over 100,000 page views a month on the website, and we're learning about what kind of content works well on the website too. We're finding what's searchable. Pete's sort of guides to engine swaps have done extremely well on there.
Yeah, those are pretty much the number one viewed stories on the website, which is like our SR swap, our LS into a 240 SX swap, and K series engine swap into a Honda. Yeah,
and some of our tech content, like explaining how things work, how does a turbocharger work. Some of our very basic tech has done extremely well too. So it's funny, people want to see project car builds on YouTube, but they don't really want to read about them on the website, it seems. So we're learning what works on a website versus what works on YouTube. So that's been exciting too. And as far as project cars that I'm fired up about, I just got a 77 Toyota Celica GT, which is like a long-standing fantasy of mine was to build an old school Japanese car. So it's exciting to have found one through our buddy Russ down in Phoenix and brought it up here, and we're just starting to build that now. We just picked up a Toyota Beams 3SGE motor for it, and we're going to do a full resto mod build on it. So yeah, that'll be a ton of fun.
So most of these cars are your guys' actual cars, or are they like friends' cars?
They're pretty much all our cars. So
yeah.
Occasionally we'll do some tech on the side on a friend's car, but our main projects are all cars that we own ourselves.
Because I saw you had an Evo too, right?
Yeah. Pete owns an Evo. Pete has a problem.
Yeah, I just actually CBRD down in York, Pennsylvania, just rebuilt my Evo, so I just picked it up and brought it back, and I wish I would be driving it right now, but it's in storage because of the winter, and it was a California car, so I'm anal about keeping the salt away from it. So you'll see the YouTube channel will have content created on that car come springtime.
Yeah. I should mention the one car that we have built that isn't our own is our Scion FRS. That car is owned by Toyota Canada, and we kind of adopted it from their tuner challenge program, but we tore the cage out of it that was originally in it and rebuilt that car from the ground up. So we've put a huge amount of work into that car, and it's not ours, but we hope to maybe make it ours when the program ends. So we'll see.
And weren't you going to use that in like the Targa Newfoundland or something?
We did, yeah. We took it to Targa Newfoundland, and we did really well there. We finished 3rd in modern division and 6th overall, and we won the manufacturer's trophy for Scion, so that was a big success. And then this year we ran it in an event called Ontario 1500, which is was basically designed to be like one lap of America for Canadians, but it was just in the province of Ontario, which is a massive province. It's sort of a Texas-sized province. So we covered, it's called the 1500 because it covers 1,500 kilometers of driving between the racetracks. So it's not as epic as one lap, which I know covers a larger area, but it was still a 7 tracks and 7 days event with time attack, autocross, drag racing, a top speed run, and we actually won that event. So that was a pretty big deal for us.
Then you have videos about this on your channel?
That's right. You can watch all of the our hardships and our accomplishments on the YouTube channel. Yeah. We created 7 videos, so a video every day. It was a 7-day event, and we documented each and every day and put together a video.
And we did build videos prior to that. So for both Targa Newfoundland, we showed the whole build of that car before Targa, and then we did a documentary of Targa, and then we did a build series of prior to Ontario 1500, and then we covered the event itself. So there's tons of FRS stuff on there if you're into that car.
Cool. Yeah, and that's actually how I got familiar with you guys. And so I knew Pete before you guys did Speed Academy, but I saw your FRS build, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. And that's kind of how I got familiar with the Speed Academy. So it had to have been on probably a YouTube channel link or something, or sorry, Facebook link from the YouTube channel. Yeah.
We spam the social stuff as much as we can with our content to try to to drag you into our world.
So moving on, this is one of the focus topics for our interview here today is the media outlets. And so you guys are obviously unique, being a YouTube channel, primarily only a YouTube channel. You have the web page, but that's what your content is focused on, is YouTube. So tell us what Speed Academy is and what you do. I guess we didn't really clarify that. So you make videos, content, tech videos. Kind of explain it to us.
I think the best definition for Speed Academy is we're a YouTube channel and website focused on bringing performance-oriented content to car enthusiasts. So, something as simple as installing wheels and tires to as complex as tuning suspension, and obviously project car builds. So we want to educate and entertain our readers, subscribers, random people that watch our content of everything that is kind of focused around the performance aftermarket world.
Yeah, so we try to do real world testing as much as we can. If we're putting a power adder onto a car, we go to the dyno and we show you how much power it adds. Or if we're putting suspension and brakes on a car, then we go to the racetrack and we collect lap times and braking G-force and cornering G-force data. So we really try to quantify everything as much as we can to take the the BS out of it. Basically, we want to give you real results. We are racers, and we want to share our racing experiences and our racing data collection methods with people out there who are either racers themselves or want to get involved in going fast, whether it's building your car to be a bit faster on the street or taking it to the track. That's really I think our core audience is really, grassroots racers like us, or just car enthusiasts who want to learn about how to make their cars better.
I love that stuff. And if I ever have free time, which seems to never happen, but I want to be a contributor to you guys because I love doing data for race cars at the grassroots level. I think it's really cool, and I think
that's
it's fun.
Fantastic.
And people don't
love that.
People don't really get a chance to do it very often. So
yeah, and that's kind of how, when we were thinking about Speed Academy and creating a brand and whatnot, we thought the magazine world, and the car blogs out there, aside from Moto IQ, there really isn't a lot of tech-based content out there that's easy to digest and kind of fun. So that's kind of our goal, and has always been our goal with Speed Academy, is to create content that people can learn from, but it's not just like racking their brain with too much information or too complex theories.
Yeah, we kind of specialize in like Tech 101, don't we, Pete? We're good at explaining.
Well, one of us is.
Yeah. No, I think we're both good at explaining fairly complex things in a digestible way. Making it seem less intimidating. And it's like anything else, isn't it? Once you actually get out there and get your hands on it and actually do it, it becomes a lot less confusing because you start to look at the data and you start to figure things out, and pretty soon you find yourself getting good at it. And I think that's true of any hobby, isn't it?
Yeah,
you have to get out there and do it.
And I think our audience sees that, right? So when we make the mistakes or we show people how to do it, the intimidation factor of doing that on your own vehicle kind of goes away, because they look at this and say, hey, these guys are kind of like us. They know what they're doing, and they were able to accomplish this, at home in their little garage with normal tools, do-it-yourself stuff, and then they can kind of go and try to do it themselves. I think it's a good motivational tool for a lot of people as well.
Yeah, and we're honest, I think, about the mistakes that we make and the things that we don't know, or the lessons that we learn along the way. And I think that makes the content more relatable to people, because you know, if you pretend you have all the answers and you don't show people the mistakes that you're learning from, then you're really only giving them part of the picture. So we're really committed to being honest about the fact that we're still learning, and we've been at this a long time. I mean, I started racing in the 90s, and Pete started racing in the 2000s, and we have a lot of experience between the two of us, but we still make mistakes on a daily basis, and we learn
all
from those.
the damn time, which frustrates me.
You know, every YouTube video we post, you can find a mistake there.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, and the audience always points it out to us.
They call us out quick, and you know what? That's great. I love that, because we're getting feedback so much faster than we could in the magazine world.
Yeah,
so we're learning a lot
for the
faster
next
too.
month to publish a correction.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, and we really didn't get a lot of feedback in the magazine. You know, we get a few emails here and there, but with YouTube, we get thousands of comments. You know, we get Facebook messages. It seems like when you go onto YouTube, you suddenly create this relationship and this connection with your audience that you just don't have in print. And so we're getting a lot more, you know, requests for information, fan requests, like when are we going to have a Speed Academy meet? You know, we're getting people who want to buy t-shirts and hats and stickers, and at Modified, we really didn't have any of that. So it shows you how powerful YouTube is as far as connecting with your audience.
Very cool. Okay, so walk us through creating one of your YouTube videos. Like, what kind of equipment are you guys using? How many people are involved with it? And what kind of information are you guys like looking for when you make a video?
Well, let's start off with the equipment, because it's pretty simple. We've got a Canon 5D Mark III, so it's essentially a photo camera that we shoot video on. A couple of lenses here and there, like a 16-35, a 24-105, and then a simple Rode microphone. So it's an external microphone that plugs into the camera. And GoPros here and there for track use, or areas when, you know, I'm in the engine bay trying to get a shot that I can't with the big camera. I kind of stuff a GoPro down there. So it's really simple, quick, light, nimble setup for the most part. And you know, I've always thought from a film perspective of overdoing things and creating a production value that's going to be bigger and better. And I've learned with YouTube, less is more. People just want raw, kind of almost unedited video footage. So having a simple camera and a microphone is all you really need. And as for, I guess, the way we create a video, it's pretty much guerrilla style. We don't have any scripts. We don't have a pre-planned approach. We just kind of show up at the shop and say, all right, what are we doing today? We're installing, you know, ITBs on the S2000, so let's set this up and kind of go for it. And I think that's how it becomes authentic and real.
Yeah, and sometimes that bites us in the ass, because we're in the middle of a shoot and we don't have a part that we need, and we realize, well, we have to stop this video now because we are missing this fitting. And so, you know, we could probably benefit from a little bit more planning than we do, but we're usually pretty good about planning it out before we shoot the video, as far as like making sure we have everything we need. But every once in a while we have a little bump in the road there. But yeah, it is very guerrilla style, isn't it, Pete? And we try to have fun with it. We try to just be ourselves. You know, you can't, the more you script things out, the more it just sounds, you sound like a robot. It doesn't sound authentic. It doesn't come across as real. So we're just two dudes working on our cars and trying to share that experience, basically.
That's right. We're you know, I'm the director, the video guy. Dave's the video guy half the time as well, and we're the on-camera talent. We're, you know, the wrenches and everything. And I think kind of putting it together like that works well. I enjoy it, actually. I find it's a great creative process. And then when you get back, you know, I'm the one that ended up shooting all of it, most of it, for, you know, 90% of it. Dave picks the camera up here and there sometimes. And because of that, I have a quick and easy way of editing it, because it's the content that I shot and I know what I shot, versus, you know, if I'm given content and then you got to sit there and edit it, it takes a lot longer process. So really it streamlines the whole experience for me in terms of creating a video from start to finish.
Okay, very cool. And so you two are really the only team. You don't ever bring anybody else in for help?
We do sometimes, like on the Ontario 1500 event and at Targa, Newfoundland, we brought in an outside video shooter. We used Dan Oliveras at Targa, Newfoundland, really talented photographer and videographer, did a great job on that documentary for us, and he edited that video as well. And then on Ontario 1500, we hired Pete's buddy Adam Bialo, who what's Adam's business name, Pete?
Contact Films.
Contact Films. So he shot all of our Ontario 1500 footage, but Pete did the editing on that. So
it just turns into a huge problem when you're trying to actually drive. So that's one of the drawbacks of doing what we do is especially when we go do track tests or, you know, attend an event like Grid Life where we're trying to actually compete and drive while shooting video, it makes it a real challenge in that perspective. So having someone there, another videographer that can kind of take the workload off of us and we can focus on actually driving the vehicle and competing makes it so much easier.
That answers the question I didn't ask, was how in the world do you go attend an event like that and make videos at the same time?
It's not easy.
We can and we do with our track day stuff. If any of the local Toronto Motorsports Park videos that we create is pretty much me and Dave there working away at it, but it's not easy, and oftentimes I'm sitting there ripping my hair out when I'm starting to edit because I missed a shot or I don't have supporting footage because of the constant chaos of getting in the car, driving, getting out. All right, I need this shot. I need to turn the GoPros on, turn them off.
Yeah, although we do bring friends in to help us from time to time, like Ken Wagon, our buddy who shares shop space with us. He helps out a ton at the shop, both in terms of wrenching and, you know, if we both need to be in a shop, or sorry, in a shot, and we need someone to be the cameraman, sometimes Ken will jump behind the camera. He comes to the track with us a bunch to help out too. So, and we have other buddies that have you know, jumped in when we need an extra hand. So we do have friends that contribute. But the stuff that we do at the shop, like the actual wrenching videos, that's like 99% just me and Pete. But we do have Ken help out a fair bit, and we do have a few other friends that jump in.
So there is a team. It's not just you two. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, we're the sort of the core, but we definitely bring friends in when we need help.
Okay. So here's the tough question here. You guys are a free YouTube channel, correct? How do you guys make money? Where does your revenue come from?
I go rob banks.
I was going to say Pete's a Tinder prostitute. Well, with the website, if you jump on our website, you'll see we have about a dozen advertisers on the website. So those are our site partners, and they're also partners on our videos. So they're providing parts for a lot of our builds that you see in the videos.
And they pay a monthly fee to be on there.
Right. So that's the bulk of our business model for the time being. We've also had specific partners on video series. So with our AS 2000 build, Turn 14 Distribution was the presenting sponsor on that entire build. So they provided us with a budget to do that whole video series with their name on it as a presenting sponsor. And of course, with our Scion Canada relationship, they basically gave us a budget to build that car and to campaign that car in Targa, Newfoundland and in Ontario 1500. And part of that budget includes paying Pete and I for our time, both as, you know, mechanics and video producers. So that's how we're making a living.
So you're really treating it essentially like the magazine, just your advertisers are on the web page and within the videos then.
Correct, yeah. And I think what we try to focus on a little bit more is, you know, to use the products with the people that are supporting us. So any chance we get, you know, we're using AAM or, you know, Mackin with the Rays wheels products and whatnot, because they are the people that back us.
Yeah, and I mean their products are in the videos in a authentic way. We're working with companies whose products we believe in and that we would be using anyway. So it's easy for us to partner with those kinds of companies because it's an endorsement we would be making anyway. So the products are going on the car and being tested in you know, real world environments. So we're validating these products.
Yeah, we're really trying to, because with YouTube it's so easy for the masses to turn when you're creating advertorials. So for us, you know, we really want to make sure everything is 100% authentic and legitimate, because you get called out very easily. People can see through the BS so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
So you guys are doing I mean, you're getting advertisers in there. How are you measuring exposure? Obviously, YouTube does a pretty good job of telling you minutes watched and number of views and subscribers. Is that how you're measuring it?
Exactly. That's pretty much it, you know. And for me, actually, it's more of the comments. So these days you can go buy views and all that jazz, but when you see the engagement in a video and you see the comments and the people that are talking about the products or talking about the videos, that's where we can really tell what works well and what doesn't. If a video has 30 comments, but 30,000 views, then I'm thinking, all right, this wasn't that well received. But if it has 30,000 views and 2,000 comments, then we say, all right, we need to try to create more of that kind of content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we get metrics off the website too, which we can share with our advertisers. So, that's the beauty of the internet, is that you have a huge amount of data available to you about who's looking at what and for how long. And we didn't have that at the magazine, so we're not shooting in the dark anymore. We can actually see what content's working and learn from that, and
then provide feedback to the people that are advertisers that we work with.
Exactly. They get to see where their dollars are going and how well it's working. So it's amazing. Are
you guys picking what you're charging for the I guess the advertising space and time? Are you doing it based off like quantity of views? And how are you?
No, it's just a standard rate that we've kind of come up with and figured out that we think.
Yeah, so it's fair. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just a flat monthly rate basically, and we, as the site grows and as our audience grows, we're trying to raise those rates to reflect the exposure that an advertiser is getting, and in the process, putting steak on the table instead of ramen.
So are you guys seeking out these sponsors, or do they come to you?
Both, I think, for the most part. Sometimes if we need a specific part and we go contact somebody, sometimes we build a relationship through that, or we have people randomly emailing us, say, hey, we've seen that you're working on an S2000. We have some products for that. Would you be interested in working with us together?
And you guys most of your products you need are based off the need you have for the project. Is that kind of how that's working as well?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. There are very little products that we review that don't have kind of a self-fulfilling agenda in that aspect. It's just a matter of what kind of project car we're working on, what we need for it, is it going to fit that application, and sometimes with our friends' cars as well, because we have our own fleet, but when we need to help out a buddy here and there, we always try to.
Okay.
Yeah, or if there's a new product that's hit the market and we don't necessarily have a good fit for it within our own group of project cars, we'll still try to get our hands on the product and test it on somebody else's car as a way of getting that review out in a timely fashion, so people know what this product has to offer. So
if someone's adamant enough for us to feature their product, we'll figure out a way, right? Like that's,
yeah, exactly.
For us, especially if it's something cool, new, and unique.
Yeah, if we like the product and we think it's promising, we're going to try to test it. And if we don't have the right car for it, we'll find the right car for it.
Okay. So you can actually tailor content based around the product, not just.
Absolutely, we can. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Okay. So how has Facebook affected your guys' business? Obviously, YouTube is still a giant in media, but like Facebook, I think everybody's on social media, and I know that Facebook does not favor YouTube videos over their own. So are you guys posting both?
No, and that's a big point of contention with me, because I look at Facebook and I love Facebook being able to reach your core audience and all this stuff, but when you look at it from a business perspective and how it's driving eyeballs back to our website or our content, it doesn't do a good job in that perspective. However, it's amazing for everything else, right?
Yeah, we're good. We get a lot of feedback from our readers and our viewers on Facebook, and it lets us connect with them in a different way. We've run a few contests on Facebook. We won an iBox prize pack at the Ontario 1500 that we gave away to one of our followers on Facebook, just as a way of kind of sharing the love. So, we've used Facebook in that way to kind of connect with our audience, and we just share random auto enthusiast stuff too, just to kind of keep people interested in what we're doing and to share what interests us. So it's a good way to connect with people, but it hasn't really been a very good tool as far as pushing views to the website or to YouTube. And I know it drives Pete crazy how much time I waste on Facebook, and it is a massive time suck. There's no question about that. So I have to learn to be more disciplined about not spending time on it. And I think I've finally come to the realization that Facebook isn't the best investment of our time as far as growing what we're doing on YouTube. So I actually spend more time now probably replying to comments on YouTube than I do on Facebook. And as our YouTube channel grows, it's getting to be a real challenge to reply to a lot of the questions. And there's some really good questions and comments in there that deserve a reply, and we try to do that as much as we can. And we're getting a lot of positive feedback because we're doing that. But I can foresee a time where, you know, when we get to 500,000 subscribers, that it becomes unmanageable. So I'm not sure what we do at that point, but that would be a good problem to have. Yeah, maybe we have to hire a social media guy.
See, that's that struggle is how do you build a business that's still as authentic? Because the moment that you have a moderator, you know, we're the ones that kind of put these vehicles together, and then you need a real expert to be able to answer some of these questions, because it's some of these questions, you know, obviously there's a full spectrum of what wheel size was that, or, oh, you put this turbo on, what was the hot side and how did it work well? Did you feel the response was improved or worsened? So it's tough in that perspective. And I think my biggest issue is kind of letting go and letting other people kind of come in and be able to work on this little project that, you know, has now turned into a full business for us.
I wanted to confirm that Pete just shared the fact that he's a control freak with the world. So
Yeah.
I'm glad we have that on tape.
I know that very well. I just never want.
You guys have gotten a huge audience on YouTube. How are you guys marketing it? Are you paying to advertise on things, or has it just been like all organic?
All organic, yeah. We've actually recently been talking about doing a little bit of advertising on YouTube, but it's tough because like I said, I want to make sure to grow this organically. If you're in it for the long run, you want as many subscribers that are authentic as possible, and I just don't believe that it exists when you start advertising and selling. I'm not saying that, you know, YouTube is shilling users or subscribers over to us when we pay them, but there's still a fine line between that. So we'll see. I'm optimistic, though. I definitely want to give YouTube some of our money, the very little marketing money that we do have, and see if it helps us.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what we don't want is to have fake subscribers, you know, guys in Bangladesh hitting the like button. We want real subscribers. And I think, you know, YouTube has an advertising program where we literally just put together a highlight reel that goes into the suggested view list of car guys. And if they haven't seen our channel before, that could be a good way of connecting with them. So I think it's worth trying. But to this point, we haven't really done any advertising or marketing. It's just really been word of mouth and you know, organic growth. And like Pete says, I think that's the best way to grow your audience, because they're truly interested in what you're doing.
Slow way.
It's also the slow way. So it would be nice to accelerate things a little, wouldn't it?
At the same time, though, YouTube has the advantage of everything you post, all your subscribers see, whereas Facebook, you're not having to deal with having to pay to get all your...
And that's kind of why I like Instagram a lot still, because the feed is chronological. It is in a time-based fashion, so it's not picking and choosing what content you see. So, you know, we have a Speed Academy Instagram account where I get direct messages, and everything I post there, you know, everybody sees. So I like that just as much as I like what YouTube does, right? Everything goes up, where Facebook is kind of, who knows, some algorithm out there that is confusing.
Yeah.
Do you guys use email marketing at all? Like, do you collect emails? And I know I'm subscribed to your channel on YouTube, so I get an email from YouTube. I think that's right.
Right. Yeah. So YouTube does a great job for us reaching our subscribers. You know, every time we post a new video, if you're a subscriber, you get an email message that says, hey, Speed Academy's got a new video. We have a email sign up on our website, so anytime we post a new story to the website, you'll get an email for that, but you have to go and sign up. So that's very limited. Other than that, we really don't use email much, for other than, you know, people that contact us directly, and then we go back and forth with them.
So we can go back into about your guys' business some more. What's something you guys struggle with, and how do you deal with it?
I think accounting is my biggest gripe right now, and it's tough though, because there is two of us and we do so much, so it's hard to kind of keep track of what's coming in and then where we're spending our money, how efficient we are with spending our money. And I think, you know, that's ultimately, from a business perspective, something that you need to focus on. But for us right now, at least for me, it's the priority is to focus on creating good quality content and building a subscriber base, you know, where eventually we have an income that comes in that we can afford to pay somebody to do that and make sure to manage it for us.
Yeah, and we have finally kind of, you know, taken some steps to clean that up. We use Wave, which is an online accounting program. which has been a big help as far as keeping track of what we're doing. And it has an app for our iPhones that let us take a photo of receipts, and then it uploads that receipt into the app, so we have like a visual record of every expense. So that's been a big step in the right direction, and we finally hired a proper accountant who, you know, did our end of year filing for us. So we're moving in the right direction on that. But yeah, it's definitely been a struggle as far as like getting on top of the accounting side, because neither of us come from an accounting background, and accounting isn't fun. You know, playing with cars and going to the racetrack is fun, so that's what we want to do. So yeah, sadly that kind of
it's the 10 o'clock at night kind of thing where I sit down and go, all right, I need to turn through this, and then I spend a couple hours doing it, and you forget about it, and then, you know, you kind of get at it again when the receipts pile up or the invoices are coming in, and it's like, I need to sort this stuff out now. Yeah. That's when it happens.
And being a media outlet, it's really it's not the same as working in a shop where every hour you work you have to is billed. Whereas media, you guys, if you build up your subscriber base, the returns are better. Always. You don't have to, like, once you've established a 40,000 or 50 or 100 or 500,000 listeners, then the income keeps coming in from that base, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. That's the beauty of what we're doing, is as we grow our base, we can charge more to our advertisers. We'll have more, you know, revenue coming in from YouTube's ad share. We'll be able to, you know, pitch bigger companies. You know, we're already working with an OEM in Scion, Canada, but we could potentially, you know, have a large tire manufacturer on board, or a large, you know, oil company or a shine company get on board. So as we grow, you know, the revenue potential grows with it, and that's kind of our long-term vision, is to, you know, to be able to grow it to the point that we've got larger companies writing checks. So that's you know, that's where the money side of it comes from.
We don't have to do the accounting.
Yeah, exactly. I think another weak point maybe is, you know, on the sales side, and neither Pete or I are sales guys, and Pete's done most of the sales, like he's done most of everything else, and it's tough to sell yourself because we're not accustomed to having to do that. So we've been kind of learning as we go on the sales side, and
we've got a soft pitch approach where, you know, we come in and say, hey, look at what we do. If you like what we do, why don't you come on board, you know? And I think that's the kind of approach that most people are like, I don't know. But if I was hammering away on the phones every day, like I've seen a lot of sales guys do, I think that is the more successul approach.
I don't know how to do it either, so
that's good.
I have to watch Glenn Ross to get psyched up before I make a sales call. It's like, you know, always be closing. I got to be a closer, bro. That's how I psych myself up.
What is your guys' 1 year or 5 year plan for Speed Academy?
To grow to have 1 million subscribers.
Yeah, that's right. Dr. Evil Face, 1 million.
That's right. Nah, and I think that's what we kind of strive for. We're really looking to make Speed Academy, you know, a big name on YouTube for the automotive realm, and I think that 1 million subscriber marker is something that we're shooting for, and I think a lot of people shoot for, which kind of validates how far you've come. And it's going to take a lot of time and effort to reach that goal, you know, especially now with the realm becoming saturated. There's a lot of people that are creating automotive content, and for us, I think as long as we stick to what we do and we have our kind of performance tech approach to it, we should get there. It's just a matter of when and how long it'll take.
Yeah, I think we'll get there for sure. And you know, it's encouraging when you see the success of, say, Mighty Car Mods, and that's just 2 dudes in Australia who built a channel out of passion. And they have, what, 1.7 million followers, I think, now on YouTube. So
yeah, it took them like 7 years, but they've gotten there, right? So they played that long game, and they're a great example of kind of what we look at and go, it is possible, it is doable.
And those guys don't have the background that we have as far as being in the automotive industry and actually being, you know, longtime racers and stuff. So I feel like maybe we can get there faster because we have that background to build on.
I'd be really interested to know what percentage of their followers were from the intercooler test that went. That was probably by far the most viral video they did. So
see, and that's the thing. When you create videos like that, I feel our videos are very sound and safe from the perspective of proper testing where they just come up with a crazy idea, brain-haired idea, test it, and then you get this crazy viralness because people are like, that didn't work, that was the wrong way to do it. And that almost in itself is great for promotion, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't play out in the long run, though.
No, exactly. Yeah, that doesn't get you the hardcore audience to stick around, that's for sure. I mean, I love Muddy Car Mods. I've been a watcher from the beginning, and I think they're really entertaining guys. But you don't watch it for like heavy tech. You watch it more for, you know, just the passion that those guys bring to their projects. And we try to bring that passion to our projects as well and have fun doing what we're doing. But we also try to be a little more technical and be a bit more performance oriented as far as, you know, doing more like grassroots racer type content.
Cool. So we like to take action on Do It for a Living. Give us an action item that our listeners can take home with them and work to improve their situation.
For me, I think it's, you know, just get out there and create, especially if you're coming from the media world or a media perspective. The most important thing you can do is create content, and I think the rest falls in place. And there's people out there that want to create videos or create stories for websites and whatnot, and it's just getting out there and doing it, becoming more comfortable with it, which will ultimately allow you to create more. So that's my big push.
Yeah, I think we're in a situation where we need to create content regularly, and that's how we'll grow. And I get asked a lot of questions about how to get involved in racing and how to get sponsored as a racer, because people see our videos and they think, okay, these guys are being sponsored to go racing. How can I do the same? And you know, there's no quick and easy way to do that. We've paid our dues, we've raced for a long time, we've built those relationships, and so we can do what we do because we've put in that time. And some of the emails I get, people just want to jump right to that point, and there is no quick and easy way to do it. You've got to just go out there, go racing on your own dime, you know, build your crappy little race car that you can and try to go win some races. And as you learn to go faster and you learn the business, you will get to the point where you can find sponsors and you can, you know, you can actually help offset some of the costs of racing. But ultimately, very, very few people get paid to go racing, and it's unlikely that, you know, you or I ever will. So you have to be realistic about it, but you can't skip any steps. You have to earn it. And that's true in racing, just like it's true in creating a YouTube channel or, you know, creating your own business of any type.
So for these are good action items. And so for the shops that are just trying to market themselves a little bit, give us some tips on what they can do to create good video content for, say, their Facebook channel or Facebook page if they just want to get people aware of their business. What's something you can give us for that?
You know, I think this is really interesting because I do see companies and shops trying to create their own content, and my suggestion always is just make it real and authentic. Don't push product, don't push your business, just show what the business does, and in turn that will showcase what you do and hopefully drive, you know, whether it's sales or service. Because when you sit there and you say, I'm shop X and this is what we do and we're great at it, that is the validation that people hate to see on YouTube. They want the opposite, where, hey, check out this project car we're working on, you know, kind of what we do, just in a very vlog-like manner. I think that is a great approach to trying to advertise on YouTube from your own business, like a shop perspective.
Great. Thanks for that one. So let's go into the quick answer questions. Give us a game-changing product you've seen in the last year.
Do you want me to start with this one?
Yeah, go take it away.
Well, mine's really not automotive related. It's actually from a video perspective, and it's called the Gorillapod. So it's this small tripod that has flexible and bendable legs, so you can position it on uneven surfaces or like wrap it around a post or get into pretty much set up a shot and lock it off inside an engine bay, like on an automobile, where normal traditional tripods can't go. So the Gorillapod, I think that's the name of it, is pretty much for me been a savior for us working at the shop now. And I saw it through somebody else's vlog, Casey Neistat, who does amazing vlogs, and he's the type of guy that introduced, I think, so many people to the Gorillapod, and it's been fantastic for me. So that is the one product that I've been really in love with ever since.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people that have been on been on the podcast before, I've mentioned the Holley Hydramat, which we haven't actually tried yet, but it's really something we should put in one of our cars just to see if it helps solve any, fuel starvation issues. But I think a really cool product that we have tried that is, I think, a really neat approach is the, what is it? The Beastronix Box that we put in our FRS.
Oh, yeah.
This is a little box that plugs into the OBD2 port that lets you turn off the traction control, stability control, basically turns off all of the e-nannies. And, in modern cars, they all have such complex and multi-layered e-nannies there. Even when you think you're turning it off, you haven't really turned it off.
Which is the case in point in the FRS, right? You
Yeah.
gotta do a pedal dance to get it fully turned off. Even when you hit the traction control button to turn it off, it does turn it off, but it still keeps a little bit of ABS control in the rear.
Yeah.
So with what he's done is he's created this great little e-nanny that helps eliminate everything without you having to sit there and fiddle with this pedal dance or hit the buttons. You just turn the car on and bam.
And it's plugged into the OBD port?
Exactly.
Correct.
Plugged into the OBD port, and a little button that comes onto the, you can install the button wherever you want.
Okay.
That allows you to turn off or on the e-nannies. And it comes in a variety of configurations, so you could have it such that you have a wet setup where it lets traction control stay on, but it still leaves off stability control. He actually did a Speed Academy configuration of it specifically for our FRS that he now sells as the Speed Academy config to basically for track day guys who want to have everything off immediately. So as soon as you turn the car off, it turns everything off. You don't have to press the button. So you only use the button if you want to turn everything back on again. And the reason for that is we're so distracted by turning on GoPros and setting up cameras and getting belted in that we always forget to press the button and turn everything off. You get out on the track and you're in turn one and all of a sudden the e-nannies kick in. You're like, oh shit, I forgot to turn it off. So his solution for that was like, okay, I'm just going to make this completely idiot proof. As soon as you turn the key on, it shuts everything off. So that's like the racer configuration, no thinking, everything off. And so that's what he sells now is the Speed Academy config. And by the way, we don't get a cut of any of that, so this is not an ad. I just think it's a super cool product. And Josh Brown, the guy who runs that company, is a really sharp guy. He's a true enthusiast, and he's doing it all himself. He's like a one-man band there. So he's a true small business entrepreneurial, maybe even a good fit for this podcast.
Well, I'll have to get his name from you guys.
Yeah.
What software are you guys using daily?
Email, Outlook. Even though I'm not a huge fan of it, but yeah.
You're not on Final Cut Pro, are you, Pete? What do you use?
No, I'm an Adobe guy, so
Premiere?
I use Premiere, Photoshop, Audition for some tweaking of audio, but that's mainly what my day-to-day application and software stuff I use.
Yeah, Pete does all the video editing, and I do most of the writing, so I'm writing WordPress on the website, writing my stories more often than not, although sometimes I write them in Word or, whatever processor is handy. But other than that, I just use the usual stuff,
And what was that accounting one you said that for tracking receipts?
That's called Wave.
Okay.
Wave, yeah. And it's a free accounting software package that you access online, so you can use it on you can use it on your iPad or your desktop or anything like that. It also has an app that you can download, and it lets you take photos of your receipts that goes directly into your account.
Do you know if it works with QuickBooks?
It does work with QuickBooks, and it works with pretty much all the other common accounting desktop accounting programs.
I'm definitely gonna check that one out.
Yeah, it's great. I've really been impressed with it, and the price is right.
What's an app that you guys use daily?
Instagram. That's pretty much what I use in Snapchat. I mean, I love Snapchat, but from a media creation standpoint, I love it from a personal perspective, I should say, but from a company perspective, it's just so much time and effort to create these small little videos that disappear, that are gone, and that's why I haven't kind of switched over to creating a Speed Academy Snapchat channel or account or whatever you want to call it. But I see a lot of companies doing it, so there's definitely, I think, action that's going to happen in the near future with it. It's just from a small business owner and somebody that already does too much, it's kind of on the last list for me.
And
it's like adding Periscope would be another one where it's
that's
like
just what I was going to say.
It's cool and all, but man, do we have time to add another? It's like we're at SEMA, we're shooting videos for YouTube, we're doing sales talks, we're chatting with fans and friends, and are we going to Periscope all that? I just don't know if we can manage it. I use, Facebook Messenger, Facebook Pages. I use a lot to manage our Facebook page. We use Google Drive to do a lot of file sharing. So there's an app for that where I can preview a video that Pete's edited and say, I like this or I don't like that. We use Sheets as well to share, spreadsheets and so on. I play around with hyperlapse a little bit to make, high-speed videos really quickly and easily. And I use the podcast app for stuff like Do It for a Living.
Awesome.
Sweet plug, Kevin.
Yeah, awesome. So what's your favorite shop tool?
Mine's got to be my Miller welder. I don't really use it that often, but it's the one tool that I get a great sense of accomplishment from. So, wrenching on cars and using regular old tools is fantastic, but with a welder, you're actually creating something, and having that sense, again, of accomplishment to me makes me feel great. And so to me, it's my best and favorite tool at the moment right now.
Yeah, I think my favorite shop tool is Peter, since he does all the work. Other than that, since I'm a lazy bastard, I love a cordless impact gun. We use that on everything. I mean, it's just so handy to have an impact gun that's not connected to a hose or a wire. You can use it in a lot of spaces that you can't otherwise, and it just speeds up jobs that you'd otherwise be breaking your back on. So that's a tool we use constantly. Not on 10 mil bolts, boys and girls. Don't use it on the small stuff, just on the big stuff. But
you got to have a gentle finger to do the small ones.
You do. You do. I'm not known for that. So.
And a good impact gun, because some of those are just on off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. We don't have a lot of fancy tools. I mean, we've used some cool what's that OBD2 Bluetooth code checking tool that we use.
I think it's called the Actron. It's from OTC, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really cool. So it's an app on your phone that you just connect and you got a dongle that connects to the OBD2 port, and it's fantastic because it.
Yeah, so it lets you monitor, engine stuff. So for example, with the FRS, we were having an engine temperature issue. We thought the engine was getting too hot, but we thought maybe there was a problem with the gauge. So we used that Actron tool, which plugs the dongle into the OBD2 port and then sends temperature readings to your phone to cross-reference the engine's oil temperature sensor versus the aftermarket sending unit's temperature. And we could see there was actually about a 10 or 15 degree difference between the two. So that really helped us diagnose a problem that we thought might have been more serious than it was.
Cool. And what kind of car are you guys driving daily? Not race cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a lot of cars, but as per typical car guy fashion, most of them are either not running or they're sitting in storage. My daily driver is a 1987 E28 BMW 528e.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, it is
Yes.
a mouthful.
Yeah. It's pretty much just an old 5 Series BMW that I bought as a winter car and have transitioned into a daily driver because I love it. It's got such an analog feel. It's a tank, and my goodness, I'm going to say this, it has been one of the most reliable vehicles I've ever owned. That's right, a BMW.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I had a couple of those, and they were not reliable.
See, mine's been the opposite, but I do take care of it.
Dave, minivan?
No, actually, I just sold my MDX, which was I haven't sold it yet, actually, but I just replaced it with a Toyota Tundra. So
yeah, that's what
we were hauling engines around and towing cars around with my MDX, and it was just getting destroyed. So we decided it was time to man up and get a proper shop truck. So yeah, I got a Tundra, an '08 Tundra with a 5.7 V8, and we're going to tune it up a bit as a bit of a project at Speed Academy. So we're going to...
Ooh, I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, we're going to put some cool wheels and tires on it, do a nice suspension on it, do some truck stuff. So yeah, we're going to have some fun with that guy.
Is it the Crew Max, or which one did you get?
No, it's the double cab. So I really wanted a Crew Max because of the kids.
Yeah, that's what I did.
But man, they're just hard to find up here.
Okay.
They're really rare. I don't know what it is about Canadians not wanting Crew Maxes, but we found a really good deal on this double cab. It was low mileage. The price was right. It was in good condition. So we went for it, even though I really wanted the Crew Max. And, with my kids being small, it's not a problem yet, but I could foresee maybe in 5 years being a little cramped back there. But maybe at that point, I grab a Crew Max instead. We'll see. But Love the truck. It's great having.
Yeah, and you have the bigger bed because the Crewmax is tiny.
Yeah, exactly. Having the 6-foot bed is nice. You know, when Pete and I build our dream shop out in the boonies, we'll be able to move a lot of plywood and drywall.
Okay, so let's close this thing out. What do you guys think the future of automotive performance is going to be?
Technology. I look at cars and, you know, the amount of computers in them and the software, and it's daunting from a certain perspective, but at the same time, I think it's pretty exciting to see where things will be headed with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously big challenges ahead as far as, you know, guys like us wanting to work on cars. It's getting harder and harder with all the technology built into modern cars, but where there's a will, there's a way, and you know there's a lot of smart people out there, much smarter than Peter or I, that's for sure, who will figure it out, and we'll learn from them. And I think there'll always be a performance aftermarket, no matter what kind of cars we're driving, whether they're electric or hybrid or you know, some form of combustion engine. There's always going to be that spirit to change things, improve things, make them go faster. So we'll just adapt with the times. If we're racing electric FRSs at Target Newfoundland in 20 years, then I'm cool with that. As long as we're fast and having fun, man, that's all that matters.
Hey, people knock the electric cars, but Pikes Peak, those things are, I think, now the second fastest of any vehicle to go up there is electric cars.
Wow, so. See? It's already happening.
Yeah.
No, it's amazing.
Very distant second, I might add, but...
Yeah,
well, we still have money on that deal too, so we're all about that.
And how can our listeners connect with you and your company?
Well, you can start off by visiting our YouTube channel. Just search for Speed Academy, and we come up. You can go see our website at www.speed.academy. So there's no .com. We've got one of these new URLs. And you can email me at peter@speed.academy. And Dave?
Yeah, I'm Dave at speed.academy. You can also find us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/gofastwithclass, which I think tells you everything you need to know about me and Peter. Instagram, I think we're just Speed Academy, and we're on Twitter too, SPD Academy, because someone else had taken our name. Yeah, so we're on all the social stuff. We're online all the time, so we reply to all our messages, all of our emails. You know, we really enjoy being engaged with our audience, and yeah, we look forward to hearing from anybody who has any questions about what we're up to.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate you both taking some time out of your day to talk with us, and thanks for being on.
Yeah, thanks for doing it,
We
Kevin.
appreciate the opportunity. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing how Do It for a Living evolves.
Thanks for listening to Do It for a Living. You can find out more about this guest, this show, and even details about what we just talked about at our website, doitforaliving.net. Check out the Facebook page at facebook.com/doitforaliving and tell us who you want to hear from. And most importantly, subscribe to the podcast. Click subscribe.